What kind of horrifying secret could a hospital hide that would leave an entire nation trembling in disbelief? Finally revealed. The shocking truth behind Menglong's horrific death is more disturbing than anyone dared to imagine. His final moments, once thought to be shrouded in silence, pose a dark reality that has stunned millions worldwide. Join Red Carpet Revealed as we uncover every chilling detail. Let's dive in right now. Finally revealed, Menglong's horrific death and the truth at the hospital that shocked millions. The sterile corridors of the hospital were heavy with dread. And it presses down on the chest and makes every breath feel like a weight. Nurses moved in hushed urgency, their shoes clicking against a polished floor, avoiding one another as if even eye contact might break the fragile barrier between hope and despair. Behind the curtain in the intensive care ward lay Menglong, a beloved actor and singer whose smile had lit up screens and whose gentle voice had soothed millions. But on that night his face was pale, his lips trembling, his body frail against the relentless march of fate. His mother sat at his side, clutching his hand with both of hers, whispering prayers she had known since childhood, begging the universe to spare her son. Tears rolled freely, dampening the sheets, her memories flickering between the little boy who once chased kites and the young man whose name had become known across the nation. She could not reconcile the two, could not accept that the child she raised was slipping away. She leaned close, whispering stories of the past, desperate for him to remember, desperate for him to fight. Beside her was the woman the world barely knew, his girlfriend, long kept in the shadows to protect his career, now revealed by grief that refused to be hidden. She cried openly, her sobs tearing through the sterile silence, clutched his arm, shook his shoulder gently, calling his name again and again, as if repetition itself might hold him to this world. He begged the doctors to try again, screamed at the machines to keep working, demanded that fate give her just one more chance to see his eyes open. Nurses tried to move her aside, but her love was unyielding. Her tears fell like glass shattering across the floor, every sob an indictment of the cruelty that had brought them here. Outside the hospital, chaos was unfolding. Gathered in masses, holding candles, chanting his name, singing his songs in trembling voices. Some collapsed under the weight of grief. Others clung to each other, refusing to believe what they were hearing. Social media platforms surged with frantic speculation, hashtags rising into the millions. Each post filled with prayers, disbelief, or fury. Yet inside the ward, none of that mattered. There was only silence, only the slowing rhythm of a fading heartbeat, only the final moments of a young man whose life had been devoured by forces unseen. As the monitors beeped with weakening rhythm, his lips parted. Mother leaned close, straining to hear, and his girlfriend froze, holding her breath, desperate for any sound. What came was a whisper so faint it barely existed, yet it carried the weight of 1,000 storms. The words themselves were fragmented, but the meaning was clear, a cry of despair, a plea, a revelation too painful to bear. His mother collapsed into sobs, her body trembling against the bed. His girlfriend let out a scream so piercing it rattled the windows, her hands shaking violently as she begged him not to go. The nurses exchanged glances of horror, their professionalism crumbling as tears welled in their eyes. And then the line flattened. The machines fell silent except for a single unending tone. His chest rose no more. The room was drowned in grief as his mother pressed her lips to his forehead, whispering a goodbye no parent should ever be forced to say. His girlfriend clung to his hand long after the warmth had gone, body racked with sobs, her voice repeating his name over and over in a chant of despair. Outside, fans sensed the truth before it was confirmed, their cries echoing into the night. Official announcement came hours later, delivered in cold, professional words that spoke of exhaustion and health complications. It was a statement meant to soothe, to explain, to put an end to speculation. But it failed. Instead of acceptance, it ignited suspicion. Fans who had adored him, who knew his every smile and gesture, refused to believe that exhaustion alone could steal him away. They demanded answers. They demanded the truth. And whispers began to spread that the hospital knew more than it was saying. For days, silence held. Family grieved in private. The industry offered carefully worded condolences. And the world mourned. Behind closed doors, doctors whispered to each other about what they had seen, about the state of his body, about things they were told not to say. The truth was suffocating. within walls that held both grief and guilt. It was only when fragments began to leak that the storm truly began. Nurses confessed to friends, who in turn spoke to others, that Menglong's final moments were not as peaceful as the official story suggested. There had been something else, something darker, so horrifying it made those who heard it tremble. Fans online picked up every clue, dissecting timelines, causing inconsistencies, sharing theories that spread like wildfire. Some spoke of negligence, others of pressure, and still others of cruelty that went beyond comprehension. Rumors turned into demands. Demands turned into protests. And soon the hospital itself became the epicenter of a storm unlike anything seen before. Protesters gathered at its gates, holding signs, shouting for the truth. The air buzzed with outrage, transformed into fury. The mother, once silent, found her voice, standing before cameras with her face streaked by tears. Only a few words, "My son did not leave in peace." His whisper was the truth. "You must hear it." Her statement broke the dam. The girlfriend followed soon after, her voice trembling as she revealed late-night confessions he had shared with her. Words of exhaustion, betrayal, of fear. Her eyes were red, her hands shaking. But her determination was unyielding. "He told me he was breaking," she said. In the end, they broke him. The revelation hit the nation like a thunderclap. What had once been seen as a tragedy of exhaustion now appeared to be something else entirely. The hospital's silence became damning, its role questioned, its reputation collapsing. Everyone wanted answers. What had Menglong whispered in those final moments? What truth had the hospital hidden? Why had his mother and girlfriend reacted with such devastation when they heard his last words? As speculation turned into frenzy, reports began to surface. Anonymous sources from inside the hospital confirmed that staff had been pressured to keep silent. There were details too horrific to release, they said. Details that would shake the nation to its core. The official story was a mask, hiding something far darker. And though the exact truth remained sealed behind official walls, the cracks had begun to spread. And the flood was inevitable. Of the story ends with a nation trembling on the edge of revelation. Fans holding their breath. The family demanding answers. And whispers echoing louder than ever. Truth, long hidden, was finally beginning to break free. What the hospital would reveal next would not only change the way people saw Menglong's death, it would change everything. The storm that had been brewing finally erupted when the hospital, pressure from fans, media, and government inquiries, released the long-hidden truth. It was not exhaustion that had claimed Menglong's life, nor a sudden illness, but a chain of negligence and cruelty that no one had dared to admit. Medical report, carefully worded yet impossible to disguise, confirmed what millions had feared. His body bore the marks of relentless overwork, untreated conditions, psychological torment that had pushed him beyond his limits. Had been whispered in the corridors of the hospital, now stood exposed under the glaring light of public outrage. The truth shocked millions. Had not been given proper treatment in time. Vital signs ignored until it was too late. Doctors admitted under oath that orders had been given to downplay his condition, to protect reputations rather than save his life. Some confessed that even as his body failed, there were arguments about contracts and appearances, about how the news would affect ongoing productions. The revelation painted a picture not of a tragic accident but of a young man sacrificed on the altar of fame. Life treated as collateral for profit. When this truth broke, the nation shook with fury. Fans who had wept in silence now roared in outrage. Protests swelled into the tens of thousands. Streets filled with people carrying his photograph, chanting his name, demanding justice. Social media collapsed under the weight of millions of posts. Hashtags screaming for accountability. International outlets picked up the story. The whole world knew, Menglong's horrific death was not fate but failure. Not mystery but manipulation. His mother, already broken by grief, stood again before cameras, her eyes burning with determination. Holding her son's framed portrait, she declared, "They stole him from me. They stole him from all of us. My son whispered the truth before he left. And now the world has heard it. You cannot hide behind lies any longer." Her voice, frail but fierce, became the anthem of a movement. Fans repeated her words across banners, painted them on walls, chanted them outside agency buildings. Her pain had become the rallying cry of millions. The girlfriend, too, stepped forward. In an emotional broadcast watched by millions, she revealed the messages and confessions he had shared with her in the months before his death. He had spoken of fear, of exhaustion, of nights where he woke shaking from nightmares of betrayal. He told me once, she said through tears, that he felt like he was being watched all the time. Like every breath he took was controlled. He said he wanted to be free, but he couldn't. His final whisper was not just a goodbye. It was a cry for freedom. Her revelation cut deep. In grief into outrage, sorrow into fury. The industry reeled under the blow. Agencies issued panicked statements, denying responsibility, claiming ignorance. Yet each denial only fueled suspicion. Those who had once praised his dedication now admitted they had seen him collapsing on set, begging for breaks that never came. Stars shared cryptic tributes that hinted at secrets too dangerous to speak aloud. Some confessed that they, too, trapped in the same system, their own fears silenced by contracts that valued money over humanity. The glamorous facade of the entertainment world cracked, revealing the shadows beneath. The hospital, now under investigation, became a fortress of secrecy. Staff were questioned, records scrutinized, timelines dissected. Every inconsistency became another spark in the firestorm. The leaked testimony of a nurse confirmed what many already suspected: his final whisper had been a plea. Words that shattered hearts. He said, "Don't let them," and then his voice broke. The nurse revealed, tears streaming. The unfinished sentence, hanging in the air like a ghost, became the most haunting clue of all. Don't let them what? Don't let them hide it? Don't let them control me? Don't let them forget? The ambiguity only deepened the pain. But the certainty of his despair was undeniable. Fury transformed into organized action. Petitions demanding reform gathered millions of signatures. Protests outside government buildings swelled. Lit candles not only in his memory but as symbols of resistance. His image, once the face of romance and youth, became the face of defiance, plastered on posters that demanded change. Around the world, vigils were held. His songs played in hushed tones as people mourned a man they had never met yet felt they had known. His death had become more than a tragedy, it was a turning point. For his mother and girlfriend, the pain never eased. Continued to visit his grave together, their bond now unbreakable. They spoke to him as if he could hear, telling him of the protests, of the fans who carried his memory like a banner. Changes that were beginning to stir. They promised him that his whisper would not be forgotten, that his truth would live on in every candle, every song, every tear. Their love for him, though drenched in grief, had become immortal. Months later, the industry still trembled. Productions halted. Agencies investigated, reforms proposed. But the shadow of his death lingered. A reminder of the price paid when humanity is sacrificed for profit. Colleagues admitted they worked in fear that Menglong's fate could have been theirs. His story became a warning, a call to action, a symbol of everything that needed to change. Whisper, once so faint, now roared across nations. And what shocked millions was not only the hospital's revelation, but the realization of how easily a life can be consumed by silence and greed. Menglong's final moments were horrific. Death unbearable. But his truth had become eternal. His whisper, painful to hear, had awakened a movement. Mother's tears, his girlfriend's cries, and the fury of his fans had turned his story into more than tragedy, it had become legacy. Finally revealed, the horrific truth shattered illusions and left a nation forever changed. Menglong's death was not an ending but a beginning. A reminder that even in despair, a single whisper can shake the world. His name will never be forgotten. His voice will never fade. And his truth will echo through generations. In the end, Menglong's story is not only about a life cut short, but about the truth that could no longer be silenced. His final whisper, his mother's tears, his girlfriend's cries. The anger of millions have turned tragedy into a movement that will outlive the pain. What the hospital finally revealed shocked the nation. But it also awakened hearts across the world. Menglong will never be forgotten. His name, his art, and his truth will continue to echo. A reminder that justice begins with remembrance. One who has stayed with his story until the very last word, thank you. Thank you for carrying his memory, sharing in the grief, and for refusing to let his voice fade. Reading, by remembering. By demanding truth, you help keep Yu Menglong's light alive. Together, we honor him not with silence, but with love and with truth.